Hey, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
And we're the Rambling Reviewers.
And today we're looking at Godzilla 2014.
Yeah, another in the list of films that really needs like a subtitle or secondary title or something.
Yeah, what are you going to do with reboots? Everyone wants to go back to the main title, but yeah, it's, whatever. We can use year numbers at least. So long as they don't make multiple Godzilla movies per year, we should be okay. They've made like 10 thus far, I think. Maybe like more than that.
Yes, they've made more.
How many more has it been? I don't even know.
I think last count was somewhere around 30.
30, okay. I actually had heard that recently.
Yeah.
So Godzilla 2014 was good.
It was very good.
It's a big monsters, obviously. And really good cinematography in
and
certain
you know what's
points,
even,
at least.
You know what's even more impressive? The cinematography.
God dang.
You did that in the theater.
Cinematography. I do this cinema. I always say cinematography.
You know, I'm going to love if we ever do a review of the adventure. One of the first. If we ever do a review on a show about the first adventures to try to get to the Pacific Ocean, because it's going to be the cinematography of Lois and Clark, of the adventures of Lois and Clark were awesome.
That would be interesting. Also, I think we should watch a documentary about cinnamon, and then I would not be saying it wrong.
Yeah, okay, but on to the thing.
Okay, I want to say a couple of my favorite moments. When the male Muto, like one of these two other monsters that's not Godzilla, that's what they're called. It's up in the sky, and you can't see it for a while, but there are jets falling out of the sky, like haphazardly spinning around. And there's this music. It's like a choir of angels sort of thing. And in this particular moment, it was really cool and lyrical is the best word I know for it. You know, not just in the sense of the music, but in the sense of the whole cinematography. And then later, when the guys jump out of the airplane because they're parachuting into
they're haloing.
The haloing. Yeah, that just confused me. I'm thinking of Halo.
High altitude.
I know. But yeah, I think I want to say ODST if you say that. You know, I'm gonna get all confused.
And they kind of were doing that.
That's kind of what they were doing anyway. But they jump out. There's a great shot of the sun, you know, just over the horizon as they're jumping. But then more importantly is this awesome shot where there's like a storm front in the background, and the guys are coming down on the right side of the screen with these red smoke trails, and that was really lyrical again. It felt like a painting. You know, and I want to see like lots of moments like that. It feels grand and epic, and they just did a good job with that composition. As for the plot,
okay, the plot is that apparently all those new. Okay, some Godzilla purists are gonna be pissed about this.
Of course they will.
Okay, but then again, Star Trek purists were pissed at the 2009 movie, and yeah, everyone gets pissed over something. But apparently in this continuity, Godzilla was not created by humans, which goes against literally every single form of Godzilla ever up to this point.
Well, he was still a pre-existing life form. We just woke him up with our nukes, didn't we? Isn't that what we did?
We mutated him with our nukes. We mutated
him to made him bigger, I guess. Yeah.
Bigger and
he
nuclear
was big,
breath.
He was big to begin with in this continuity, but he took a nap for a few million years. And now he's coming back because of our nukes.
No, actually, he wasn't coming back because of our nukes in this continuity.
He came. No, well, okay.
Okay,
the Mutas came back.
No.
Because of nuclear.
No.
Okay, go. You tell me. Where'd they come back?
Okay, they said in the movie that the first nuclear submarine went down into the ocean to the deepest depths that they could find, and they found Godzilla down there and accidentally woke him up.
See, we were involved. Okay, not a nuke, but it's a nuclear submarine.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, I got it wrong.
Then, ever since then, in the Pacific Ocean, we've been trying to kill Godzilla with nuclear testing, a.k.a. luring Godzilla to these places and nuking the fuck out of him. This didn't work at all.
Yeah.
Although, it had this really cool opening scenes where it showed them setting up a nuclear test site. It's kind of like the opening of the other American Godzilla.
Haven't seen that one myself.
Oh, okay, I did. It opens with them preparing. That one opens with them preparing in French Polynesia to test a nuclear device, and it kind of felt like that. Except that at the last scene, it zooms out, it shows these soldiers positioning this bomb correctly and then leaving. But the bomb has a picture of a Godzilla with a no sign on through it. And, it's that moment. It sets it up. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's not just a nuclear test. Godzilla already exists in this universe. Something's going on here. We don't know what's going on, but something is.
And that helped to set it up, I think, the rest of the plot. So we didn't have to run around and go, what is that? Like, someone could tell us. I'll tell you what it is. We know it from 1954 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Okay. And then the title. No big no big musical score, no crescendo of noise. It's this white screen and the words Godzilla in black. Very small letters just fade into view while what looks like ashes are falling from the sky. That's it. And I just love that. It's just so minimalistic.
Yeah, I like that too.
You expect like flowing lava, which...
They've done that before, yeah.
You expect all this different stuff, but no, just very minimalistic. Very minimalistic. I like it a lot. Starts in 1999. I was 9 years old.
It follows him for the rest of the movie.
Okay, but anyway, so these guys in the Philippines, one of them is Dr. Shiratori. Fun Godzilla fact, in the original 1954 Godzilla, there was... not 1954, 1950s Godzilla, the very original one, Dr. Shiratori was the creator of the Oxygen Destroyer, the thing that killed the original Godzilla. Yeah, the original Godzilla is dead. Think on that a little bit. But anyways, the people from the Philippines are digging in this mine, and they find something. So they go down, and they find it's this enormous skeleton. We're talking kaiju-sized skeleton, and 2 pods inside of it. One is still there, and it's highly radioactive. The other is gone, and there's now a hole leading to the surface, and there's a big drag mark out to the ocean. To which I respond, how the fuck did you not notice that?
There was nobody in that area, I guess. They were digging on this side of the thing, and that area was just forest.
Okay, yeah, but there's a few more things like this in the movie. It's like, how do you not notice this moment?
It's hard to do a Godzilla movie and keep moments of surprise without being like, wait a minute, someone should have noticed that. Everything's so big.
Okay, but in the 50s, that's kind of understandable. Air traffic wasn't as common then. We didn't have satellite overwatch pointing out where everything is.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly how much live feed we have of random forests. Even with all our airplanes and satellites.
Yeah, but you'd think you'd notice something as big as O'Hare International Airport.
It wasn't that big yet. It grew bigger later, remember?
I'm saying, sorry, something the size of a school clawing its way to the ocean and leaving a massive canyon of debris in its wake. You think the workers are just like, oh, is that what that is? Up! I thought that was always there, but, silly me. How do you not... And it shifts over to Japan, where the monster, which isn't seen yet, is known as a Muto.
Well, it will be, yeah.
But anyways...
Because first we have the nuclear power plant blows up, or falls apart, rather.
Yes, it attacks a nuclear power plant from underground, where... I'm going to call him Hal because I don't know his real name.
The dad from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah. He works with his wife, and his son lives there, too. There's these tremors that are going on, and they're getting this weird seismic activity that have these unusual wave patterns. And, something goes wrong. The wife dies. The dad is heartbroken. Mm-hmm. They fast forward 15 years later. The entire area has been cordoned off, and the dad is continuously trying to get back in. The son is part of the military, and he has to leave his wife and kid at home to go pick up his dad because his dad's in prison.
The wife and kid are in San Francisco.
Yeah. And the dad convinces him, okay, let's go here. Look, it'll be the last time. I just want to get some stuff from our old house. I don't even have a picture of your mom. The guy goes, fine. So they go there. They find out there's no radiation in the contaminated area. So, what is even the hell? And then they get picked up by the cops. Well, private security people. I don't really know who they are. But they work for Project Monarch, which studies kaiju. And in the middle of this whole complex is a chrysalis that is absorbing radioactive material from the nuclear power plant.
Is there some reason they haven't removed the radioactive material from its vicinity?
God damn it! Why did they not do that?
I had 15 years to come up with that idea. Yeah, I also, out of the whole movie, I'm kind of, I understand, like, physics doesn't really apply, but it did nag at me a little, like, how much radiation is really leaking through the basement of this power plant, and how much radiation can there be there, especially after 15 years after they shut it down, or did they, I guess, it fell apart, it was shut down itself. And then when they're playing with nuclear bombs later, I'm like, okay, how much radiation comes out of a bomb that has not yet detonated? Because it's the detonation that really makes the difference. I know plutonium's bad enough already, but the detonation is what really makes the difference. But okay.
Okay. So anyways, it's at this point that that Hal starts ranting and raving insanely about...
Actually, very sanely.
Okay, super sanely about, I've been studying this thing for years from the outside, it's been communicating or something. Then it wakes up, and we get our first look at a monster in this movie, aside from brief flashes of Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. We saw, like, his spine just out of the water.
But, and this thing starts hatching. And it's a Muto, and I have to admit, I absolutely love the design of the
cool.
Mutos.
I love their feet. They're just so it was like kind of spider-like, but it wasn't a spider, and it was like freaking hooks on the ends of its, and then wings. And
I like
eyes,
the heads.
the
Very
heads.
angular, and I like angular look. It was like a robot of some kind,
yeah.
except it wasn't.
It felt like, you could feel it was an organic creature.
A robotic crab wolf thing.
Wow, that's a word for it. Yeah. Robotic crab wolf thing, also known as a Muto.
Yeah. So, anyways, it starts tearing shit up, but eventually leaves by flying, which no one could really thought it could do.
Yep.
And Hal is killed. Well, okay, he's mortally wounded, and
he dies like 10 minutes later. So.
Ford, his son, is brought in as the guy who was closest to his dad, even though he dismissed pretty much everything that his dad said as crazy talk. Shiratori, I think that's his name.
Sure, why not? I'll look it up for you.
Anyways, the Godzilla doctor says, look, we need anything you can give. And at this point, he says, okay, he said it's talking to something. My dad said it was talking or something. And they're like, oh, okay. Wait, if it's talking, who is it talking to?
Dun, dun, dun!
Is it talking to Godzilla? No, it's not talking to Godzilla. Oh, it's talking to something else. Where's the other pod? Where's the other egg?
Now explain this to me, because they totally said, no, it couldn't be the other egg, because we vivisected it. You confirmed yourself it was dead, or it was dormant, she says. And he's like, maybe it's not dormant anymore. I'm like, I'm sorry, did you vivisect it? Are you telling me you chopped it up? I mean, I guess you could make small incisions and not, like, really harm the thing, but... I don't know. I got the impression that maybe that would harm the creature. And it was like, nope, it just woke up one day. Like, I guess it can do that, but...
there's been like a...
I mean,
kaiju are unbelievably tough creatures. I mean, it took the male, which was much smaller and weaker. Godzilla had to pin it inside of a building and impale it on stuff. And then the building collapsed on it. That was what it took to kill it.
Right, but when the thing is dormant and you have 15 years and they know where it came from, right? They know it came from a freaking kaiju, like, this is very dangerous. They know Godzilla exists. He's very dangerous. After, I don't know, 5 years worth of research, how about we chop it into bite-sized chunks and throw each of those chunks into a different vault? Like, just so it doesn't kill anything. I mean, I don't know. Part of this is, because I'm a moviegoer, so I know, I'm genre savvy. But even so, it seems, they should have maybe known it was more dangerous. Or they should have, what they should have had? A freaking, like, alarm system or something. Some guard looking at it through a 24-hour monitor. Be like, it freaking woke up on the radio. And then they would know.
They should have motion sensors so that they don't have to have a guy looking at it.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
if it twitches, then it sounds DEFCON 1.
And we just, like, automatic, like, machine guns on every wall. Just like...
And lava pours down from the ceiling.
Lava, or just
Because
whatever.
if it's good enough for Minecraft, it's good enough for me.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's been stored in Yucca Mountain, or Yucca Mountain.
Yucca.
Is it Yucca?
Yeah. And, okay, so it's revealed that these creatures feed on radiation. For those who don't know, Yucca Mountain is the storage facility where the United States keeps all its radioactive waste.
Well, it's where we're supposed to, but Nevada really doesn't like it, so we haven't put hardly anything in there yet. But let's pretend, in this continuity, all of it is gone there.
Well, in their defense, yes, the vault itself might be super safe. Tiny problem getting it there to begin with.
I suppose,
large quantities of nuclear material being transported across the desert, ideal way for someone to steal it. Or, some drunk-ass idiot could, jackknife one of the trailers and spread nuclear material over half the continent. I don't know.
Well, in any case, there's a Muto there now, and they feed on radiation.
Fun happens!
Now, I did like this back onto the cinematography. When they send soldiers in to, like, go check if the Muto has gotten out. Which I think, now that I think of it, they really should have gone to the vault where they kept it. Let's check there first. Because what they actually do is go down the hallway. Is it in this vault? No. Is it in that vault? Did you guys not write down which vault it was in? But okay. And then the one guy opens, like, the little eye hole hatch thing. And it's just, like, bright white. And I thought for a second that the Muto was, like,
glowing
or creating new nuclear explosions inside of it. And then they open it up, and it's just daylight. Because it burst through the other side.
And again, this is another moment where it's like, how did we not notice this?
Because they're driving up to the entryway, which is like a hole in the side of a mountain.
Yeah, but you'd figure this place would be staffed at all times, and they would notice, hey, half the base is gone.
Well, also...
Do we just not go into that section of the base ever?
What also I was saying, though, is because when they go up, there was helicopters, escorting them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the helicopters, of course, went above the mountain. And you think the guys would be like, okay, let's go check the vault. This is Chopper 1. You guys can leave now. We found it.
Yeah, it's heading right for Vegas. Yeah. Oh, is that what that giant monstrosity heading straight for the Las Vegas Strip is? Boy, is my face red. I thought that was just the latest casino going up.
And then there's this question, why is it leaving Yucca Mountain? It wants to eat radiation, right? It needs radiation.
We just went through like 8 different vaults where there was full of radiation full of shit.
Yeah, I mean, and it needs, like, apparently it needs to get a source of radiation and put it next to the egg sac, and they'll suck up all the radioactive energy. So, hey, lay some eggs right where you are, and you're good. I mean, I know it wants to meet up with the male, but can it just be like, hey, the male, why don't you come over here instead of me going over that? He made like 3/4 of the distance already, at least that. He came from Japan. Or Hawaii, anyway.
And it made a stopover in Honolulu.
Yeah, Japan, then Hawaii.
And here's where I have to compliment the cinematography. They made a deliberate decision to not show Godzilla for a vast portion of the film up to this point. The best we got was a few glimpses of it in the prologue. But then, suddenly, and this... truly brilliant. They did the same thing in the original Godzilla. They didn't show Godzilla, just showed his effects at first. And then, boom, Godzilla. But no. First, the ocean starts going... Okay, what happens is...
The tide goes out from the shore, leaving lots of shore exposed.
But no one's paying attention to that because they're looking at where the male Muto has stolen a nuclear submarine.
They were looking up at the SWAT team people were up on the roofs and stuff. The submarine was in the jungle, like, a mile away, which was a neat scene. What is this? It's a freaking submarine in the trees.
And there's helicopters above it. And this is another thing where it's like, why did you not see this? Okay, look, I get it. It's nighttime. It's hard seeing things. But the helicopters were clearly looking directly at where it is, the submarine. They should have radioed, we found the submarine.
I think maybe they weren't looking at it until the moment when we saw it, because they could have had their searchlights on other parts of the island. Is it here? Is it there? Oh, frick, guys. And the soldiers find it at the same time, maybe. I don't know.
Anyways, So this little girl looks and she sees that the water is receding. And I have to admit, this is a moment of realism that I really enjoy. Everyone looks, and you can tell they're immediately thinking of the Indian Ocean tsunami, where now it's common knowledge that if the water starts going out rapidly, there's going to be a tsunami coming, and so they run like hell. Very smart. It shows, a connection to the real world. But it's not, okay, it is a tsunami, but it's a tsunami caused by Godzilla.
Da, da, da. Yeah, and he's awesome.
He briefly fights the male Muto, and I don't really know how it goes, because...
Apparently the male just gets away.
Yeah. The fight isn't really that impressive. They show Godzilla, swatting at it a few times, and then they cut to the next scene.
Which honestly was smart, because they wanted all the awesomeness in the climax.
Oh, precisely.
You wanted to feel like, oh, I wanted more, You see, like, the news report and the kids watching it, and then the dinosaurs.
And she's like, oh, crap.
And we did get some stuff with the train, the monorail, whatever, and then the people were falling out, and our dude Ford had to save some kid. So there was stuff going on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And meanwhile, we occasionally cut back to see how the military is faring against the female Muto. It's not good for them. See, the Mutos have this ability to unleash electromagnetic pulses, which really kind of brings up the question of why they have this ability to begin with.
Maybe...
I mean, if in the old Godzilla films, they occasionally had monsters with this sort of power that they could just, like, shut down electronics. But that was usually because they were alien constructs who were designed to fight humans. These things are openly stated to be from the dawn of the Earth, when, there were other kaiju-type creatures. So were there a lot of Mechagodzillas running around that they needed to have this defense against?
Like, to draw kind of a weird analogy, but, like, birds, for instance, sense magnetic fields in order to navigate. Yeah, like, creatures can make use of electromagnetic environment.
Okay.
Disrupting it could, I guess, mess with your prey or your predator or something. Doesn't mess with Godzilla, but maybe there are other predators that it would give them a headache.
They did say that he was an apex predator. And that's an interesting analogy. I'm just waiting for the time when I see a seagull shoot down an F-15.
That should be the next movie. Just call it Seagull 2014. Everyone's like, oh god, it's a seagull.
They're shutting down all the everything. Okay, so, it's just a little weird, but it does make it a very difficult thing for the humans, because these Mutos are just traveling, and they're just detonating these electromagnetic pulses as they go, and they're pretty much, you see a scene where there's jet airplanes that have just crashed on the ground, passenger liners.
Yeah, though, I mean...
And it does make the fight a lot harder for the military, especially with how electronic the military is in modern days.
Yeah, well, I am pretty darn sure you can still launch a missile from very long range and have it hit things, and it wouldn't need to be electronic by the time it gets there. Because it's just, after like a major missile launches, it's all just a matter of gravity and physics, isn't it? You need electronics along the way to, like...
make it super accurate, yeah.
Yeah, but what if it's huge? We don't need super accurate. We just need, like, the vicinity, please. Go.
Maybe, like, V2 rockets would be better in that case.
See, yeah, I kept thinking, like, you could shoot it with some... And they have, this clockwork detonator on their nuke. I'm like, you could launch a nuke and do the math to figure out how long it will take to get there and set the clock to detonate when it gets there. And it wouldn't be perfect, but... You could still nuke a guy.
Yeah.
And you could do that while he's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and not when he's approaching California. They get the nuke out. They're like, okay, we're going to get this nuke. They apparently have one nuke. We're going to put this nuke on a train and then put it on a boat, and we're going to lure the Mutos away, and then we're going to detonate that nuke with a clockwork timer to kill the Mutos and possibly Godzilla as well. They apparently can't get around to that prior to the male Muto making landfall in San Francisco. Did it swim absurdly fast like the Pacific Rim kaiju? Is that how it works? I mean, like, get me the president. Tell him to send one of our 1,000 nukes at least we have. There must be at least one of them we can get on a boat. No, wait, we have nuclear submarines already. They should be already in the bay. Just have them drive west towards the Muto, and we're gold, except for the people who run those submarines. But still,
they're kind of fucked.
But still, it's better than our current plan, which is let's wait till he makes landfall.
Okay, so the military took a few stupid pills.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen worse, but like,
Oh yeah, we've seen way worse.
We're taking, certain things just don't add up here.
But this is where the climax of the movie starts. There's the paratrooping from low orbit to try to recover the nuke because the nuke was stolen by the male Muto.
After they turned on the timer.
And admittedly, there was a kind of cool scene where the Mutos actually met for the first time. And it was kind of sweet in a giant kaiju love kind of way. Like, they started nuzzling each other, and the male presented the female with a nuke.
That sounds like a wonderful courtship ritual.
Yeah.
I want to see that in a nature documentary.
Oh, honey, I love you so much. Here's a weapon of mass destruction.
The male is presenting the female with a nuclear weapon. The traditional courtship of the Mutos.
Yes, perfect.
I think that summarizes the phrase Godzilla threshold right there. Their courtship ritual is based on nuclear weapons.
That's a phrase I need to use more often.
Yeah.
How badass are your courtship rituals? Oh, well, we use Well, it starts off with mass hysteria and chaos and electromagnetic pulses, and it gradually goes up to nuclear weapons.
Now, yeah, here's another question. They're transporting that one nuke by the train, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
how did the train catch fire?
I don't know. Was there flammable material on board that somehow got ignited? That's weird. Yeah, the thing doesn't have fire breath. But I'm wondering why the female Muto is there at all. Like, I know it likes nukes, yeah, but is there any other source of radiation anywhere? Like, I'm sure there are nuclear power plants out there, aren't there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is.
Also, Yucca Mountain, like we said earlier.
There's Cheyenne Mountain.
And
everyone knows that there's nuclear material there in case an enemy manages to get a foothold inside of Stargate Command.
Right. Also, I mean, if you know it's going to be attracted to the nuke, don't ship a nuke from such a location as to that it will be that it will be able to intercept you before you get to your target.
Precisely.
Like, ship it from freaking, I don't know, there must be a nuke in Oregon somewhere, send a train from that direction, or whatever.
And if you need a detonator somewhere, somehow, and you need to get it there, send it without the nuke and combine them when they get there.
Yeah, that would seem helpful. And then I was confused at this because the female shows up, it wreaks havoc, it kills everyone who's not the main character in that scene. I was like, look, he's alive, he's the main character. All right. And then we still have the nuke. Yeah, remember they picked it up, didn't they? The military.
There were several nukes.
Oh, there were several nukes.
Okay, but my thing is, this guy is making calls to check to see if the way ahead is clear, and he's like, "Is the way ahead clear?" and the response is entirely consistent of screaming, gunfire, and what is easily identifiable as a kaiju screaming bloody murder about how it's going to murder everything. He's like, "I didn't copy that. Could you repeat? Is the way ahead clear?" And it's more screaming and more gunfire.
Like 3
sound
times,
of metal being torn to shreds, people dying.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. So they send scouts ahead. They're like, "What? How do you not? Go back. Go back."
Yeah, though the bridge behind them was broken, wasn't it? There was one shot of that, which I don't know how that happened without them seeing a Muto, but it looked like it was broken behind them. But okay. So, yeah, in our final phase when we paratroop in and we got to go find the nuke to turn it off. And if we can't turn it off immediately, we're going to put it on a boat and send it as far out into the bay as possible. See also Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. I wonder why that scene seemed familiar.
Yeah.
Still, that is a pretty common sense plan.
Yeah.
Okay, if we can't turn it off, get it the hell away from here.
Yeah. Or wow, how many times have people diverted nukes? Now I'm thinking of Avengers and I'm thinking of Pacific Rim. We send the nuke through a portal to the bad guy's base.
Actually, that wasn't so much diverting it, so much as
using it in the first
place.
Exactly.
That was plan A.
That was plan A. That's true. Okay, but so he has a couple moments with Godzilla. He kind of gets to look Godzilla in the eye. It was kind of neat.
Oh, and then Godzilla slowly pulls back, and so there's this curtain of smoke that just comes in front of Godzilla's face. And it's like Ninja Godzilla, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and he got to do his fire breath a couple of times.
Oh, yeah. And I was waiting for it the whole movie, Godzilla's fire breath. Godzilla is getting curb stomped by the male and female Mutos. And the female Muto suddenly realizes, oh crap, the main hero dude, he just set fire to all of my eggs. And so she sees him, and she just fixes him with this stare like, I'm going to beat your ass. And suddenly you see this blue glow. It's almost like the sun's coming up, except it's not, because it's the base of Godzilla's tail, and it goes up to his head, and he blasts it with radioactive fire.
Yeah, and then he killed the other one later. Or he killed that one.
He killed the male. He killed the male Muto by slamming it into a building, and it got impaled.
And the female by fire breathing down its throat. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. And ripping its head off.
And then but so our guys are running with the nuke, and they bring it to the boat, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the female was over the boat, and they were shooting at it. And then there was another group of guys over to the right, and they were shooting at it, and they distracted it, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Ford gets on the boat, and he is the only person on the boat. What happened to everyone else on that boat?
The boat, they got smacked off the boat. That was part of
all of them fell off into
yeah,
the
they
water?
were all in one part of the boat, and the monster clawed at the boat.
All right. So he gets on the boat and he starts driving it away, and then all the electronics shut down. You're like, oh crap.
And so he turns around and he's staring at it, and then it's at a side profile of his head, and you see this giant claw just slam down into the ocean next to him, like a tree trunk, like an Ent's foot.
Yeah.
And he turns over, and the female Muto is staring at him with her unbelievably cool wolf crab head. And she opens her jaws and starts moving it, and then she stops. And all I was thinking was that Bug's Life. Have you ever seen the bloopers for A Bug's Life, where the bird is looking at the caterpillar, and suddenly the bird starts breaking and the caterpillar goes, "Ooh, does this mean we break for lunch?" That was what I was thinking. And then the camera pulls back, and it shows Godzilla is pulling it back with his teeth.
Yeah, it was cool. So basically, Godzilla then kills the female Muto, and now the only problem left is the nuke. And I hoped Ford would die.
I did too.
Not that I really hated him, but that felt appropriate, and then he had to make a heroic sacrifice to save his wife and kid. He'd pass out, and the boat would go away into the distance, and then it would blow up, and
And it would fit with the concept of heroic sacrifices as seen in Godzilla films. The very first one had Dr. Shiratori sacrificing himself so that the knowledge of the oxygen destroyer would die with him.
Yeah, I'm looking at a Sarazawa here. Is that the
Sarazawa? Yeah, my bad.
All right. But he gets picked up, and then I guess the boat just got far enough away that it wasn't a problem anymore. I'd like to know how far you have to get away for it not to be a problem anymore.
Yeah, especially
he had 5 minutes left on that clock, and he was a kind of a normal speed boat. It wasn't like some sort of super speedboat thing.
Yeah, it was a boat. It was a whale watching boat.
It was like a whale watching.
Those things are not known for their ability to outrun.
Yeah, and they said specifically, this is a very big bomb.
It's a multi-megaton bomb.
Yeah. Okay.
And last time there was the reason why Godzilla exists is partially because watch up SF Debris' review of the original Godzilla. That's where we're getting a lot of this information. But there was a hydrogen bomb detonated And it was like 3 miles across was the radius of the initial explosion. That was just the radius of everything dies in here. You know, so it's...
yeah, if this sounds like there'd be a lot of fallout over San Francisco in the aftermath, from what I can just vaguely calculate. But
yeah.
Okay, so he survives.
Unless it's like in Godzilla 1985, where Godzilla just absorbs all the radiation.
Yeah, they didn't imply that though.
Yeah,
it wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Point, but I'm trying to.
Yeah, trying to make it work. So he survives. He meets his wife and kid again. Yay! And then Godzilla.
But Godzilla earlier, it looked like he's dead. He's lying on the ground, and suddenly, they're picking through the debris and they're finding stuff. Serizawa looks over at him, and he looks just heartbroken, just absolutely heartbroken. And then Godzilla snorts and starts getting up.
Gets up, and then the TV has the news is on. And it says, "The King of Monsters, savior of our city?" ? And I was like, "Thank you for that ? I don't think they'd be quite so happy so quickly."
Thank you, Godzilla. You've saved us all.
And destroyed a whole lot of crap in the meantime.
Okay, first Man of Steel movie. Yeah, okay, we were right to call Superman to task for basically totaling Metropolis. Because that's the Man of Steel. He's not meant to total Metropolis. He's meant to save it. Yeah. Godzilla, he's one of those destructive saviors. Yeah. There's a reason why TV trope says of the Godzilla threshold. The Godzilla threshold is when calling upon Godzilla, the patron saint of collateral damage, is a less destructive option than you're continuing to do what you were doing.
So Godzilla goes into the ocean, and it just abruptly ends. It was credits, not even a fade to black. Credits.
We were really expecting there to be like in the Avengers, where there'd be some after credits thing where it shows like at the bottom of the ocean, there's like a heartbeat starting and like a second Godzilla, or
freaking Mothra is someplace. I don't know.
Or like on the moon, these 3 golden heads perk up from underneath the rim of this crater. Or some classic villain.
Yeah, I mean...
Or the Pan-Pacific Defense Coalition opens a portal to another world so that they can help.
That would be interesting.
There have been strong rumors that there will be a Godzilla Pacific Rim crossover.
But then you'd have good guys on both sides. I guess he could help us out, though. Yeah.
Well, Godzilla is technically a good guy, especially in this one.
Well, whatever.
Okay, now...
So, let's... The plot, I mean, it was competent enough for we point out flaws and how that radiation work, how you didn't understand that, but monsters went from here to there and we fought them and I got what was going on.
Even good movies have flaws.
Even good movies.
Wrath of Khan, why did the captain and first officer go down to SETI Alpha 5?
Why do they do? They always do everything.
Okay, yeah, but that's a pervasive flaw.
Whatever, yeah. So movies have, but what you were saying to me earlier is the movie lacked a sense of theme, and we can contrast this with the original Godzilla, which was that Godzilla was the product of nuclear testing, and it was an allegory for how nuclear testing is so terrifying. And horrible.
The nuclear bomb.
Nuclear bomb in general,
especially as told by the one country on the planet who not even 10 years before had suffered a nuclear bomb attack.
2, yeah.
2, whatever.
And so it was an allegory for that, and it had a lot of depth there. And also, this is what I didn't know, because I'd heard about, this guy comes up with the oxygen destroyer and kills Godzilla, and I just thought that was the plot device they used to win the movie. But he struggles whether to reveal the existence of this weapon, because if it's powerful enough to kill Godzilla, it could be powerful enough to be used in World War III, right? And you were like, there's a real moral conundrum there. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And what he ended up doing was he kills Godzilla with the thing, but he burns all of his notes, and he kills himself so that no one can ever force him to reveal the secrets of this weapon, and mankind cannot use it against themselves. And you're like, wow, that's really interesting about, well, to put it in Spider-Man terms, power and responsibility, right?
Precisely.
And the hubris of man and all these interesting things.
And then later films took different paths. SF Debris would later put it, and yes, I'm quoting him again, but he's a really great reviewer. I advise going to watch his stuff. He's a great reviewer of Star Trek. He's reviewed several Godzilla movies. dozens upon dozens of Doctor Who episodes, especially ones that were lost, because of whatever. He explains it better in his way. But anyways, what he said is that Godzilla, like many other works, the message can change over time. For example, Godzilla vs. Biollante, it was about man's hubris, about how man's desire to control things ultimately is self-destructive because it led to the creation of Biollante and Godzilla.
Okay. So
which both things were mentioned here, which, again, and then there are some that claim that Godzilla is nature's way of seeking balance, which is what they claim for this movie. Again, that's bullshit. Anyone who claims, nature has a plan. I find it strange that, if you say God has summoned a giant radioactive lizard to come and destroy mankind because that's his plan, you sound absolutely fucking nuts. But if you say that nature creates these creatures as a way of keeping cosmic balance, you suddenly sound a lot wiser.
Well, now let's be fair. This was not a Gaia's wrath thing. This was not mankind has polluted the water and now nature is fighting back. This was rather, we have two big monsters here, but there's an even bigger monster who naturally has evolved, to be a very good predator. That seemed to be as far as it got.
Serizawa did claim that several times that Godzilla was a force of balance for nature, and
but it was in my mind anyway. He never said balance in the sense of mankind must be punished for its sins. It was balance in the Mutos are out. Well, let's rebalance that by putting them back into death mode.
Death mode.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And they tried to touch on nukes are bad when the Navy guys and the Air Force guys are going, we have to nuke these things, even though nuking them didn't work before, but we're using a bigger nuke now. Serizawa said, I want you to take a look at this. It's my watch. It was a watch that belonged to my father. Its hands are permanently frozen at the exact moment of the atomic bomb detonation.
In Hiroshima.
Yeah. Okay, see, the thing about Godzilla was, it was a subtle thing about the power of the nuclear bomb, about how nukes were bad.
Even if they made it from subtle into obvious, that's not too much of a problem. The problem is it wasn't really relevant at that moment when he said it. It wasn't, we need to use the nuke to kill our enemies. And he's like, no, you'll kill civilians too, just like you did in Hiroshima. And that's why nukes are bad.
No. Here's what it was. We're planning to lure this thing out 20 miles out to the sea so that it doesn't hurt anyone, and then detonate it and kill all three monsters in one blast. No one gets hurt except for the monsters, who we were trying to hurt anyways. And he's like, I want you to see what the power of the nuke can do. It broke my father's watch. Look, I get what you're trying to say.
And it did become more relevant as soon as we realized, oh crap, we can't turn the nuke off, and now it's in the middle of San Francisco. So you're like, okay, I can kind of see what they're doing there, but it still wasn't quite thematically correct,
Precisely.
And he also says the hubris of man is that he thinks he can control nature when actually it's the other way around.
We aren't trying to control nature. We're trying to get these assholes off of our lawn.
Right. Wouldn't it have been great if the plot had been built around that theme, as you suggested before we started recording, was, okay, let's say the military had been trying to...
No, not the military.
Or somebody, yeah.
Let's say the nuclear power plant people were trying to do experiments on the male Muto, so that they could, the thing absorbs radiation. What if you could use that and find some way
use it like a power plant? Just use it like a battery.
Yeah, use it as a battery, or better yet, Chernobyl is still unbelievably toxic years later. What if you could send in like this drone with samples of Muto meat on it, and it sucks up all the radiation, and it makes areas that were contaminated completely clean in just a few years.
Yeah. Or what I'd like to see, because maybe I'm going a little more direct on the metaphor there, is it being used or intended to be used for a military purpose. Like, we'll figure out how to clone it, and then we'll put mind control collars on them or something, and then we're gonna have an army of these things to do something whatever evil, but maybe with a well-intentioned extremist vibe to it. And that would symbolize nuclear weapons, right? Like, we need these great, powerful things, and then, oh, crap, they go outside of our control. A little cliche, but you could see that man's flaw, a character flaw, has led to this disaster.
I would say that using some sort of non-military company as the bad guy in this case, and then wanting to sell these things would fit that better, because it shows off their greed.
Your greed is a good lesson to touch on.
And the fact that they're like, they're evil, but they think they can control everything just because they're rich.
Yeah, I could get behind that. That'd be a nice, somewhat modified from the original anti-nuke message, but it's a similar thing. The hubris of man, the character flaws of man wreaks disaster, and then somehow in the solving of the problem and the lesson of the movie, we would overcome this character flaw, or at least somebody would, on behalf of the other jerks who won't change their mind.
Have Serizawa be working on the project the whole time, and have him not fully understand what his employers are trying to do. He's just trying to research this amazing creature. Like, him and his family have studied radiation and radioactivity for years, partially because of this Hiroshima connection.
Oh.
By the way, interesting little note, and I find this very strange, how we hear a lot about Hiroshima, but I have heard next to nothing about Nagasaki.
It's the same deal that everyone talks so much about Neil Armstrong, but not half as much about Buzz Aldrin. First is always just the most important in people's minds.
Yeah, I know. It's just weird, Huh. But anyways, so...
So yeah, we didn't advance as a character by the end, did we?
So have him and then later realize, oh God, what have I done? I helped with this, and then have him sacrifice himself.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
That would also produce a nice parallel to the other Serizawa or Shirazawa.
Serizawa.
Doc Brown.
That would be good. Yeah, and then I don't know where Ford would fit into that, if he exists at all in that version of events. If you're gonna have a Ford, but here's what Ford was to us. He was our cameraman almost in the movie. I mean, we had some emotional connection. We liked his wife, his kid, and all that. So it wasn't totally blank, but it wasn't super deep either. It's like, my family's in trouble, I need to save them, and I'm like, okay. I've seen that movie before.
I've seen that TV show, but I've seen that sentence before.
I've seen there's a lot of War of the Worlds, the new one they did that. It was like, oh, my family's in trouble, I need to save them. Okay, everybody has a family, they're in trouble. I get it's
World
reasonable,
War Z,
but
they did that.
World War Z, they did. I liked World War Z better, but yeah, they're still the same basic sort of.
Yeah.
It's I want to see the character develop. I want to see him come to a new realization. I want to see him, he has to, give up on some dream that he had, or he has to realize that he made a great mistake, and he has to change in some interesting way, which directly relates to Godzilla and the flaws of man, or something along those lines. And that would make everything so much more awesome. All the lyrical moments I talked about would be even more lyrical, because the emotive content behind it. But as much as I love that paratrooping scene, the emotive content behind it is, we have to go get the bomb and save the world. I'm like, okay, I've seen that scene. There's nothing else complex going on here.
You know what would be good? Have him at the beginning of the movie about to drop out of the leave the military for good. He's used up his last tour of duty, and he is ready to sit down and retire to his wife and his kid. And then, by the end of the movie, he realizes that just because I'm tired doesn't mean that there aren't things out there that want to hurt my family.
Well, there are things worth fighting for.
Have him sign up with G-Force.
Who's G-Force?
In the classic Godzilla movies, G-Force was this organization dedicated to studying and fighting Godzilla.
Okay.
So it would be sort of a Godzilla response unit that would... multinational Godzilla response unit that would track him, study him, because like it or not, this is one of those landmark moments in the history of this planet, of that planet.
Oh.
it used to be that, it was BC and AD. Before Christ and whatever AD stands for.
Anno Dominion.
Whatever. Alpha Donut or whatever. It was before Christ, and then it was after Christ. Now, it's no longer before Christ and after Christ. It is pre-kaiju and post-kaiju. You are living in a post-kaiju world. Now, mankind is no longer the top of the food chain. We're going to need boots on the ground, and we're going to need guns and tanks and planes, new weapons, new ways of fighting. And they need every single person they can get to make sure that your child grows up to be a safe and productive individual and is not nommed by a kaiju.
Yeah, you have him sort of giving up on the military. What if there was a sort of a feeling that there's corruption in the ranks? Now that would kind of, possibly piss off all the soldiers in the audience. But you know what I'm saying? Like if you feel like you're fighting on the wrong side of history, or there's something immoral going on here, and then through the fighting of kaiju, you're really fighting like the demons, as far as Mutos are concerned.
We can work with that.
So there'd be a moral high ground he regains, you know what I mean?
He doesn't feel good about our actions in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Because there was one time he helped drop a bomb and it ended up landing on the wrong house and killed a civilian. And now he gets to save some civilian. We're just spitballing here. You'd want to, be more subtle and complex with it. But these are the general ideas you could have done to make this guy develop over the course of maybe if his dad dies and his dad had known Serizawa, right? And then he wants to get close to Serizawa to know more about his dad, and that's part of his quest, is to find out what he missed and, sort of repair the relationship posthumously, get over his grief. He didn't actually have much grief, did he? The dad died, it was sad, and then the rest of the movie happened.
To be entirely fair,
he didn't have time for it.
He spent most of the time running for his life from giant monsters.
Yeah, that's true.
And one of the first stages is denial. It's entirely possible he was just in denial over the whole thing and pushed it off to later.
But you could have played with that and done something kind of interesting with it, Godzilla could almost be, or the Mutos or whatever, could be a metaphor for just death in general, you know what I mean? It takes your loved ones, there's no explanation, it's beyond our comprehension sort of thing, and he has to make peace with that somehow, you know what I mean? I have to work on that some more, but there's just so much more you could do with the themes. I'm not saying it was bad.
It was a very good movie.
It was good. It's just, you could reach more, because the original reached more in that area.
And the original, they used a guy in a suit and hand puppets.
Yeah, but they had better plotting to them. This is just a little generic. But oh well. And the whole Yucca Mountain thing and whatever. And some stuff that didn't add up.
Again, how do you not notice that?
You know?
Shouldn't there be guards that said, yeah, you don't have to look for it. It's currently over there in the massive hole that used to be where our rec room used to be.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, these things have really long-range calls, don't they? The thing can scream out in Japan and be heard underground in Nevada.
Sound waves do travel faster through solid objects.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, that is... I mean, they are kaiju, so whatever, right? But
laws... And Godzilla has nuclear breath, and...
How does Godzilla swim, by the way? I noticed it looks really cool from the surface, but underneath, he's got scrawny limbs. He must be, doggy paddling or something.
Well, if you watched him, he was, going,
doing, a snake thing? Maybe he was doing a snake.
Yeah, I mean, with that long tail. Plus, it's the same thing with crocs and alligators.
That's true.
And I did notice that Godzilla does look more crocodilian in this incarnation.
Okay, maybe makes sense.
Earlier ones, strangely enough, have him looking a little more like a cat.
A little bit, yeah, in the face there.
Although one thing I didn't like, his roar.
You didn't like the roar? What's wrong with the roar?
Previous Godzilla roars all had this very specific thing about them. It's like a high-pitched trumpet call, like... And then at the end it goes down suddenly and goes into almost a honk. Like it almost curls up like a bassoon or
you
something.
Were missing the honk.
I was missing the honk.
All right. Well,
I missed the honk.
When I heard the roar, I mean, I guess I'm less familiar with it, but it sounded to me like the Godzilla roar, and I guess they've changed it. Oh well, it was distinctive enough to me. It was like, aha, that is specifically the Godzilla roar, not like King Kong or somebody random.
King Kong.
You know what I mean? All sorts of just beasts make a generic roar sound. Godzilla's special.
Also, I liked the design of Godzilla. Granted, it was a little fatter than what, previous Godzilla models. But I think this was the first all CGI Godzilla that they've done that wasn't the American Godzilla.
Right. That was 98 too, so not that great comparatively.
Yeah, but it retained a lot of the basic characteristics of the suited Godzillas. It was largely upright. The arms actually weren't too bad. A lot of other Godzilla films, they have the little scrawny arms, but his arms were fairly bulky and powerful.
Yeah, it helps. Makes him look more threatening and not just pointless.
But they didn't just make him completely CGI nonsense, like swirling around and jumping and...
Yeah, you could have done that, and if you make him too nimble, he doesn't feel like massive anymore. He's got to be like, boom, here he comes.
They made him seem natural without losing the thought that could also be a guy in a suit. It's weird, but
it has that sort of body movement. You mean?
Yeah, it was almost like it was a living creature, but it also felt like the classic Godzilla suits. So
good job on that. Yeah, overall good movie. Just themes. We need the themes. Those are so good to have, and deeper characters to go along with them.
You could sense that there were deeper characters lurking somewhere there. But
yeah, you didn't get to explore them very much. Yeah, it was the guy. I wasn't entirely sure sometimes if it was expression of dull surprise on his face or just no, he's a soldier. He keeps his emotions in check. It's a subtle line there, fine line,
Or PTSD, either way.
Well, yeah, but that's a whole nother category. But yeah. That was Godzilla. I wonder how long before they do another one.
Well, hopefully not too long.
We'll find out. I guess that's about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
We're signing off.